So the message that I think that God has been trying to show me through happenings in my life, and a message that I want to share with you, is that I need to develop a thicker skin. All of us do. Now, that's putting it in layman's terms. It's made me think of a way to describe this. The one-to-one correlation, okay? So it's like somebody insults you, and that gives you the average amount of damage to your ego and your well-being, okay? That is a one-to-one correlation. Somebody punches you in the face, and you get hurt just as much as the average person does. So when it hurts you half as much as the average person, it's a 1 to 0.5 correlation or something along those lines. I'm not trying to make like it exactly accurate with ratios and mathematics, but the point is, as you develop a thicker skin, it's like you start out, somebody insults you, you get hit with the one-to-one correlation, okay? It affects you just as much as it would the average person, not somebody who's like oversensitive, not somebody who has a thick skin. Now, as you develop a thick skin, it's going to be a 1 to 0.75 correlation, a 1 to 0.5, a 1 to 0.25, okay? The things that affect regular people need to start affecting you less, especially if you're one of these chosen ones, okay? Just anybody who's like waking up, basically like you're not an idiot, okay? That might as well be a chosen one. Somebody who's not an idiot. The beautiful ones. The beautiful ones. We need to start developing a thicker skin. But that's not the title of the video, is it? God has been guiding me to understand that I think not only is meditation okay, but it's important. Now, the word meditation is used in theology. Theologically speaking, a Christian who meditates, okay, if a Christian tells you don't meditate, that's demonic, they're very unaware that there is a practice called meditation in Christianity, in Catholicism, in all brands of Christianity. And what that includes is reading the Bible very slowly, okay? Meditating on a passage of the Bible. That's a practice that's encouraged to do daily, okay? So your average Christian, and by the way, these are things that unfortunately I struggle with a lot, like your Bible reading program. People do something like read the Bible in 6 months, read the Bible in a year. I struggle to do that, okay? I like reading stuff that I haven't read before. I left off in Isaiah. I listen to it on tape. I pull it up every now and then. I haven't been doing it daily. That should be one of my New Year's resolutions, is to get that going again. So you do your readings every day, which is maybe like you read, I don't know, 5 chapters or something, you know? And then you do your meditations every day, which is like you take one psalm and you read it over maybe like 10 times through very slowly, or you read it and think about it and think, like you just kind of contemplate it, you comprehend it. It's like, do I really understand what this is saying? I have some psalms memorized, so like I could actually theoretically do it without looking at the Bible. God, create in me a clean heart and renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation, and uphold me with thy free spirit. Now, I feel like I know exactly what all of that means. It's pretty straightforward. So you want to find a section that's challenging to you, something maybe in, I think Proverbs and Psalms are both excellent choices, and you just kind of like meditate on it. But I'm talking about the kind of meditation that we all know about, okay? And part of the reason I've been pacing around in this video is because my priest told me when I was doing RCIA that he prays the rosary while he walks around, like this. And ever since then, that is how I have started to pray the rosary. I pray the rosary every single day. Every once in a blue moon, I miss it. But I walk around, much like this, and work through my beads and pray the rosary. And I don't really see any reason not to. Maybe you prefer to do it sitting still, but he said that it really helps him focus, and he also prays the Jesus prayer in that way. So it got me thinking, who's to say that you can't meditate this way as well? And I did take a meditation class way back on the East Coast when I first went to college, and there was a practice of walking meditation. Ultimately, probably be a little bit slower, maybe force yourself to walk a little bit more like this. But, you know, sitting, meditation, standing, walking. And I think where things can get weird with meditation is when you obsess with how long you did it, okay? I had a very active meditation practice back in the day before I was a Christian, okay? When I was into spiritual, bizarre, occult type things. And the emphasis was always on duration. It got to a point where I would sit up on the couch, and it kind of like disturbs me to think about how long I was meditating. Honestly, I think it got to a point where I kind of just like took a nap sitting up on the couch. I definitely like passed out a couple of times, but it got to a point where I would like meditate for 3 hours, okay? And that's disturbing to think about. And I definitely don't recommend that you do it anywhere near that long. I don't think it's like worrisome until you start going over an hour. I'd say probably like 30 minutes max. And the emphasis isn't obsessing over clearing your mind. It's clearing your mind like a lot, you know, like don't just let your mind rush and wander, but don't obsess with the completely empty void mind, okay? I used to obsess over void meditation. It's like being alone with God. And that's the technique used in Vaishnavism. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that. I imagine it's like Vishnuism is where that word comes from, but it's pronounced more like Vaishnavism. Somebody in my chat was telling me to study that. And that is the practice of just being alone with God, which is just a form of meditation where you just think, I'm here, I'm listening, I've removed distractions, you know, whatever God has to say, which, let's be real, most of the times, in like the most literal sense, for us, is nothing. But observing your sensations and the way you feel, and you know, I've had little thises and that's. When I read Grudem's Systematic Theology, it said that after you pray, don't just like hop right up, you know, when you're done with your prayer. Like, stay there for a minute and give God an opportunity to answer. Now, thus far, God has never answered by me hearing a voice in my head. So that's why I think it's so cringe when people are like, oh, God just told me to say this, God just told me to say that. Okay, that's a red flag when people say that, okay? But I have had certain sensations, I have had certain feelings to where you feel like God is telling you something. So that's the kind of meditation that I recommend, is just being alone with God, but, you know, not making a big deal out of it. You could sit still, you could close your eyes, you could have your eyes open, you could try it in silence, you could try it with rain, you could try it with some kind of music. I mean, there's not really any rules. That's actually sometimes what I think is like what's cool about like meditating as a Christian, is you're not really trying to follow some sort of like a yogic practice. That's what you're trying to avoid, okay? Any Christians who are worried about how this sounds, like, I don't know, I've always heard not to meditate, you know, are you afraid to like lay on a lawn chair on a sunny day and listening to some relaxing like smooth jazz? You know, are you afraid to do that? Because that's pretty much all I'm talking about, is like relaxing, but being attentive and paying attention. And I feel intuitively, in a way that's difficult to understand, that not only is that okay, but that's going to help strengthen your ability to endure. When we're talking about building a thicker skin, I have a strong feeling that that is the best way to do it. Okay, it's a great time for self-analysis. Think about the things that are bothering you. Think about the things where you need to improve. Okay, this is a great activity to do while you're not masturbating, obviously. It's a time for self-reflection, a time to strategize, a time to like kind of let the things that bother you play out, okay? Like if you're going through harassment like I am, like if somebody follows you home and like tries to make you uncomfortable, like parking their car near you or something, that's a great time to think about it, okay? And ultimately, this should become regular practice. I think so far, for my New Year's resolution, I'm thinking read the Bible every day, which I already should be doing, obviously. Bible meditation every day. And then this kind of, call it beautiful mindedness meditation. I don't know, just beautiful mindfulness, beautiful onesness. This is just kind of like my style from my observing and thinking about what I need. I have a long history of kind of just pacing around like this. Sometimes when I'm like hanging around, conversating with people, I'll want to stand up instead of sitting down, which I don't know, it's probably weird. I think I developed that from not being around people for a while, but just getting a good pace like this going, giving your mind some time to work itself out, to work out the kinks. And I'll just finish by saying people are running away from this with the laptop, with computers, with media, with television. It's time, if nothing else, that you're not watching TV, that you're not surfing the internet, that you're just not doing anything at all. I actually had somebody tell me when I was a kid, or when I was like trying meditation for the first time, they're like, that's not meditation. You know, when I like did kind of like the yogic practice or the stereotypical yogic practice, I put my legs in the full lotus position and was like, oh, and they're like, that's goofy, that's not real meditation. Meditation is basically just doing nothing. And I think there's a little bit of something to that. There's all kinds of different methods to meditate. I know a lot of Christians have issue with it. I definitely haven't really meditated in a long time. Of course, there is, how is this pronounced? Hesychasm. That's just the Jesus prayer in Orthodoxy, and they actually recommend that you put your chin to your chest while you do it and like look at your heart, but maybe you could close your eyes too. But I don't see why you can't do that like while you're standing and walking around, or you could do it sitting. Basically, guys, I know this kind of came out weird, but I've just been getting the feeling that this is how you sort your mind out. This is how you spend time alone with God. This is how you stay out of trouble and you avoid doing the things that you're not supposed to be doing, like masturbating. I was trying to be subtle there, but and this is how you develop the thicker skin. This is how you remove the one-to-one correlation, and you will get to a point where it's like people's words, people's actions, And then when it gets to the point where, apparently these other chosen ones out there are dealing with gang stalking when it comes to street theater and sensitization and different forms of harassment, it's not going to hit you with that one-to-one correlation. It's going to be like you just have this powerful gravity, for lack of a better term. You have this just powerful aura that protects you. You have the armor of God, and you're just unaffected. I think that's part of how you do it, guys. So that's that. Hope you enjoyed this video. God bless. I'll see you in the next.